A massive wildfire, billows of dark smoke looming on the horizon, and hundreds of residents are directly in the path of the deadly flames.
I mean, if I was going to die, I was going to die. That's just the way I look at life.
September 4th, 2011. Bastrop, Texas is a town of about 8,000, just 30 miles southeast of Austin. Bastrop resident Richard Balaz works from home on the east side of the city. He lives less than a mile from the forest that borders the town. But on a windy, late summer day, this quiet neighborhood is about to become a death trap.
Texas is now officially suffering its second worst drought ever.
Yeah, it'd been months before it's rained. The worst drought we've ever seen.
On top of the lack of rain is the heat, and today Dallas will be at or above 100 degrees for the 39th day in a row.
Thousands of acres of dried trees and grass have created a recipe for disaster. All it takes is a strong gust of wind to turn this residential neighborhood into a tinderbox.
The winds are about 35 miles an hour. The wind was blowing so hard that it snapped a power pole, and that started the fire.
The flames immediately begin to devour the parched trees. As Richard drives, he spots the smoke in the distance.
Well, there's a huge fire burning out here. If I see something intense or extreme like that, I'll pull out my phone and I'll start shooting film. Bastrop County, it is going crazy.
Despite the risk, Richard continues to film while he drives. A dangerous combination considering the circumstances. He can't keep his eyes off the hypnotic smoke billows towering over the Texas trees. But he has yet to realize the danger he's about to face. As soon as he gets home, the Bastrop Fire Department comes calling.
The firemen were really serious. That was no joke. They were yelling over the loudspeaker. I considered leaving, but I knew if I left and one little ember was able to make it here, that the house would probably burn down.
Even though most of his neighbors leave, Richard is determined to protect his home. He furiously waters his yard and monitors the approaching smoke. But his decision to stay puts him in increasing danger.
I started getting worried when I noticed the fire coming down McAllister, and everything was getting smoked out down here, and the firefighters were backing up from the fire. It looked apocalyptic to me.
And it's not long before things go from bad to worse.
There's another one burning over there, but it's on the other side of the highway still. We're right in the middle of it.
Minutes turn into hours, and the second fire starts to send smoke downwind toward Richard's house. And as the sun sets, Richard realizes he's surrounded.
I was in my front driveway. I was pretty scared at that point because there's fire all around you, and there's not a whole lot you can really do about it, but just hope that it doesn't get you.
Rather than sit and wait for the fire to reach him, Richard takes off in his truck, driving toward the smoke.
Looks like I'm rolling through a war zone. I wanted to make sure that if there was something that I could put out, I was going to put it out.
Richard takes a proactive approach, partly because of his good Samaritan spirit and partly out of self-preservation.
I'm going to take this golf cart trail right here. Don't normally get to do this. I went up on the hill, went behind the homes. I pulled my fire extinguishers out of my truck, got my shovel, and started doing whatever I could do to put it out.
The flames are spreading quickly over piles of dry pine needles on the ground. And he soon finds this fire is a more formidable opponent than expected.
I'm going to stop recording now. I can put all this stuff out. All right, I got that much of it out. There's still some other stuff burning right there. I ran out of extinguisher. All right, I came back with my shovel, put a little fire break right here. At least this house isn't gonna burn.
For the moment, Richard has saved a stranger's house, and he hopes he helped save his own in the process. But as he races back to his street, he realizes time is running out. Smoke is surrounding his home.
It was getting harder and harder to see, and if you can't see what's coming at you, you might want to get out of the way.
Despite his desperate efforts, Richard realizes he will have to leave his house behind and hope for the best.
As time went on, I was getting more and more concerned. The wind was still going pretty crazy, and I was worried that it was going to change direction, and if the wind changed direction, then we were screwed.
Richard finally admits defeat, grabs his dogs, and races away from the scene.
It's not a good feeling knowing that the next time you come back to your house, it's not going to be there.
Night falls. A caravan of the last few holdouts from the neighborhood joins Richard on his escape route.
It does. It looks like a freaking war zone out here. We did find a way out. We dodged trees and went through ditches and got past and got out.
But it will be weeks before he's able to return to his neighborhood.
For 2 weeks, there was a continued breakout of fires. We could not get back in.
All the while, Richard is in the dark, not knowing whether his home is still standing.
We just didn't know, and we couldn't get anybody to tell us.
Finally, Richard gets the call he's been waiting for.
2 weeks later, someone was able to check the neighborhood. They told us that our house was still there.
The fire has died down just across the road from Richard's home.
The fire was about 150 yards from where I'm standing right here. If you look straight over there, you can still see where it's kind of burnt, and it just went right on past us.
Run back into.
But others aren't so lucky. In a sad twist, the friend who delivered the good news to Richard, Brian Gertz, has lost his own home less than 2 miles away from Richard's. Just like hundreds of other Bastrop County residents who come home to heartbreak, Brian returns to find nothing but a foundation and charred memories.
This is just one of 1,600 homes that burned. So this story repeats itself 1,599 other times. A fire can take everything you got, just like that.
The historic blaze claims the lives of 2 Bastrop County residents and consumes 34,000 acres. Richard counts his blessings, and because he stayed behind and filmed, his footage can now be used by the Texas Forest Service to better understand the path the fire took. Even so, he has a word of warning for those who find themselves in the path of a wildfire.
My advice to others that get in a situation like I was in, if you can get out when you can.
Hope I get to see you guys again, or hope you guys get to see me again.